Okay. All right. So let's get started. All right. So I am Reverend Sherri James. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Bible Hangout. And I'm excited to be here tonight. We are in the midst of an awesome series on using Emmett Fox's The Mental Equivalent. And what we're doing right now is we are designing our ideal 2019. We're designing our ideal 2019. This series and the purpose of this series is really to help you move forward measurably in your experience. I also did a survey at the top of the year just to find out what it is that you guys want and what it is that you need. And one of the things that you said to me was that you wanted some help with applying the information. So this first 4 weeks, we're walking through the mental equivalent. So we got one more week after this one where we're just studying the material. Then the next 4 weeks will be all about the application of the material. And I'm actually bringing in special guests. So I've gotten a confirmation from Rev Kev from Unity of Sacramento, and I have a couple of other invitations out. I don't want to announce them until I know that they are available and that they've confirmed. But Rev Kev is going to be with us, helping to illuminate these lessons and helping to make them practical. And so each of the 4 weeks we'll have a different speaker come, and we'll take the stuff that we've already talked about, and then we'll go back through that material in a way that moves us forward. But very excited. That is going to be good because Rev Kev. So Kevin and I go way back. We were actually students in the teacher training program together. Like that's how far back we go, which was like 1999. And Kevin was a year ahead of me in the program at the Johnny Coleman Institute, but 1999. So we have known each other for about 20 years. And he's always been amazing. He's always been a dynamic person. And so a lot of the things that he's doing with his ministry with Unity of Sacramento are things that we were just planting the seeds for in 1999, 2000, 2001. So the first thing that I want to share with you, move this out of the way. This is not going to work tonight. Well, first let's pray. I just don't want to start. I've got my new setup. I forgot to pray. All right, so let's just take a moment to just relax and just be in this space and know that God has something unique and wonderful for each one of us. That the Spirit wants to prosper us. The Spirit desires to prosper through us. And so we're open, we're receptive, we're willing, God. We're willing. We want our dreams. We want the things that you planted in us from the beginning. And we want to give voice to them. And so we're asking that something said, something shared, just helps that process along. And so I ask that you utilize me as your vessel to communicate to your people, to share this message, and that our lives be changed at depth. In the name and nature of Jesus the Christ, I bless this class, and so it is. And amen. Okay. So this lesson is very, very practical. Our intent for this lesson is to get very practical techniques that we can use. Some of you I talked to during the week about what it is that you need and what it is that you're looking for. And overwhelmingly, the thing that came back was, how do I put this stuff to work? So we've got that coming up, but I want to give you something that you can work with even while we're getting to the application part of this lesson. So my intent is for this night to be very practical. So I want to go back and just kind of lay in on what a mental equivalent is. And we said that it was a set of beliefs. And this is what we've been looking at for the last 2 weeks. We're using the copy of the mental equivalent that you can find on truthunity.net. And if you follow the link in the email, or if you're on the blog post, you can pull that link up and it's right there. So every physical expression has a mental equivalent. Every physical expression, the way that you dress, the way that your home looks, the way that your home is organized, the way that your desk at work looks, the friends that you have, the people that you attract to you just randomly, everything comes into your experience first as a mental equivalent and then as a physical expression. And there is no physical expression that does not have a mental equivalent backing it up. So just like so this, my house, this is a condo. This is one of 6 units. So just like this condominium, before they built this condominium, they didn't just get some, even if people know how to build houses, they had to say what the house was going to look like. And so they had to decide how many bedrooms are there going to be, how many bathrooms are there going to be, how are the rooms going to be configured, where are the doors going to be, if there are stairs, where are the stairs, how steep will the stairs be, how wide will the stairs be. All of those are things that are part of the blueprint, and they don't start building the house until they have a blueprint. Now, in the building of the house, there may be some deviation a little bit here and there as they get into the realization process. But in general, the built house reflects the blueprint. And it's the same thing with your experience, that before there is ever a physical expression, there is a mental equivalent. Now, most people think of life as random, that this random thing happened to me. I randomly got into an accident, or I randomly ran into this person, or I wasn't asking for that. And no, you're absolutely right. You weren't asking for it, not consciously. But life is not random. Life is absolute. There's nothing random about life. But I realized that that's kind of a hard thing for people to swallow, because consciousness always demonstrates itself. Consciousness who you are always shows up in your life. And it doesn't always feel like that, especially for the crazy stuff that happens. Like, I'm willing to own the good stuff, right? So I had an experience today. I was on my way to pick up Jordan from school, and I got a call from someone who was delivering some checks for an air conditioner repair or heater repair. And the person, so the bill was $425. I was paying it in 4 payments. So I had handed the person 4 checks, and spaced out, and to cover the cost. And the person said, you know what, don't worry about it, just give me half, and that's good enough. So basically all I need is 200 or 225 or whatever, and you're good. I'll cover the other parts. And I'm like, hey, that kind of stuff we're willing to own. Yes, my consciousness is working. Yes. Now, let me tell you when we don't want it. So I had an experience where I was working, and I needed to get Jordan to the babysitter, and then get back to the workshop where I was supposed to be helping out. And I left out of work late, and I got him late. I got him to the babysitter late, and I was an hour late to the workshop. Of course, all of the people that I worked with were livid. I felt horrible, right? We don't want to own that, right? We don't want to own that. Or when the other stuff that happens in our experience, those things we don't want to take ownership. But everything has a blueprint. Everything has a blueprint. So what I realized is that I got to get out of the convincing business, right? Because this is one of those things that you have to wrestle with the angel yourself. You have to sit with it and really study your experience, and study God, and study how this universe works, and come to your own conclusions. What I am going to do is I'm just going to teach you how to build the equivalent that you want. So I'm not going to try to convince you that the stuff that you really don't believe you had anything to do with is somehow tied to what's going on in your mind. But what I am going to do is just share with you, hey, you want to know how to build a mental equivalent? You want to develop the mindset for what it is that you want? Great. Okay, let's have that conversation. So the truth is that if you want to change your life, if you want to be healthier, happier, younger, more prosperous, if you want to be closer to God, you've got to change your mind, and you've got to keep it changed. That's really it. You've got to change your mind, and you've got to keep it changed. That's the secret to controlling your life. So it's, when people lose weight and gain it back, well, they change their mind, and then they changed it back. And what you want is, I want to change my mind about weight, or I want to change my mind about health, or whatever it is I want to change my mind about. And I want to keep it changed. I don't want to go back to where it was. I don't want to go back to that old way of thinking. And the real issue is not that we can't change our minds. That's actually not the real issue. The real issue is that we've always changed our minds. If you have ever, like, I get up in the morning, I don't do this anymore because it's not necessary. I do utilize it, but I used to get up and I would put on a motivational video. And for the length of time that I'm listening to that motivational video, my mind has changed. Or I'll go to a positive service, a worship service. And for the length of time that I'm in that service, I am rocking and rolling in the positivity. Yes. God is all there is. If God is for me, who can be against me? I'm there. Right. But that's not the problem. The problem is when I go home. Right. The problem is when the class is over, when the retreat has ended, when the positive experience physically has come to an end. How do I sustain what I have gotten? This is a few years ago. I came back from Panorama of Truth, which is our summer conference. Side note, for Panorama of Truth this year, we're going to be in Miami, Florida. It is the weekend of July 17th, whatever that weekend is. It's like a Wednesday to a Sunday. We'll be in Miami at the Intercontinental Hotel. So I will be there, and I encourage you to come down there and hang out with me. I would love to see you. It is an amazing conference. As they start to announce the speakers, I'll let you know who some of them will be. But I came back. We were at PLT Jamaica, and I think I had gotten in the swimming pool and looked at myself. If you've ever like really, really, really had a good look at yourself. And I got in the pool and I had a good look at myself. And I was like, you know what? I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so when I got back to LA, every day I was working out, every day, like clockwork, because, that I had gotten full of something or sick of something in Jamaica. And I was, for like 6 months, I was going hard in the paint with like exercising every day, watching my diet, all of that. And then it's like the euphoria wore off. It's not that we don't change our minds. It's that, can we keep it changed? And sometimes we can keep it changed for what feels like a pretty decent amount of time. But if we have not built the mental equivalent, then the mind changes back because it has nothing to stand on. It's like building a house on sand. Eventually, a good water is going to come, a good rain is going to come, and it's going to sink. And so when we talk about establishing the mental equivalent, what we're talking about is building the mindset in a way that it sticks. That's what tonight is about. Nisi says, I keep coming back to moments of high resolve. Howard Thurman. I don't know that. Send that to me. Or if it's a Google thing, let me know and I'll Google and look it up. I know who Howard Thurman is, but I haven't read that. Jennifer said, like you said before, what are we making room for? We're always making room for something. Yes. Sometimes we're making room for what we don't want, though. Sometimes we're making room for what we don't want. So it isn't that we don't change our minds. It's that we don't change them, and we change them and we don't keep them changed. So the secret then to every accomplishment that you ever want is basically keeping your mind changed, because you're always carrying a mental equivalent. And so the question is, how then do you change your mind? And more than that, how do you destroy the patterns for what you don't want? That's the part that I think we can change our minds, but if we don't get rid of the pattern that produced what we didn't want in the first place, then it's just laying there waiting to rematerialize. It's like there's that scene in the Matrix, well, all of the scenes in the Matrix, when he meets Agent Smith. I think it's Agent Smith. When he meets Agent Smith, and Agent Smith just keeps appearing. There's a scene where he is in the train station with Trinity. It's toward the latter part of the movie. He's in the train station with Trinity, And I guess you guys remember The Matrix. He's in the train station with Trinity, and they're having this moment where they're gazing into each other's eyes, and she, picks up the phone ring because they're about to like bring her out of the Matrix and back into the mothership with Lawrence Fishburne's character Morpheus and Tank. And so she's getting ready to beam back, and you see a bum laying on the ground in the subway, but you see his face start to digitize, and really what's happening is that Agent Smith is about to take over this body so that he can basically go after Neo and go after Trinity. And that's what happens when we don't destroy the mental equivalent. That when we don't destroy the mental equivalent, essentially what's happening is that the thing itself, the moving entity, which is the mental equivalent, is rematerializing in different experiences in our lives. And so it's like we take one step forward, but then it feels like we take two steps back, and we take two steps back because we haven't gotten rid of that mental equivalent. We haven't gotten rid of the mental equivalent that's producing what we don't want. So I have found that one of the things that helps me is to always go back to how is God set up and how does God do anything, because God is unchanging. And so for this conversation, I want to give you 3 principles that really help me all the time, especially when I am, back against the wall, or just in a space where I'm not 100% believing in the dream that God gave me. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's that person that's always 100 with the way that, what God has given them to do. I'm not that person yet. I'm that person that I got to sit down. I got to journal every day. I got to pray every day. There are things I got to do to keep myself in that positive space. But the one thing I want you to know about God is that God is always abundant. God is always, always, always abundant. Like, it's just something to consider about God, that everything that God does, every time God does it, it is extremely abundant. And I mean, from like the number of grains of sand to, the number of different types of trees. I think there's something like 23,000 different types of trees. Like, not 23,000 trees, but 23,000 different species of trees. There are 20,000 different species of bees. That's a lot of different bees. When you think of bee, and you say the word bee, you're not thinking the bee that exists in this part of the world and then the bee that exists in that part of the world. And it's 20,000 different kinds of bees. And then there are like 500 different kinds of sharks. Like, every time God does something, it's always like big and lavish and abundant. Like, it's always got this like never ending quality to it. One of the ones that I thought was like, team too much, is there are 400 different thousand types of beetles. Beetle. There are 400,000 different types of beetles. And the thing about this is that each different species has a slightly different job. They don't do the same job. So of all the jobs that the beetles do, each of those 400,000 different types of beetles does a different type of job. I don't know. Anyway, I find that amazing. So the other thing is that I learned that, I remind myself that everything has a purpose, because sometimes I feel like, what am I here? What am I doing? Does anybody hear what I'm saying? Is this landing? What value is this? And then I have to remind myself that everything God does has a purpose. Everything. So there was an article in the New York Times that came up. I'm pulling it up now. It was called The Insect Apocalypse. The Insect Apocalypse. And it was published November 27th, 2018. And what's happening just across the planet is that our insect population is dying off. Like, our numbers are dying off drastically. But what's happening is that maybe because they're insects, we're not noticing it. So you have like millions of bees that are just, they don't exist anymore. And so the bees are extremely hold on, I gotta mute somebody. The bees are extremely important for the population, for our food supply, because the bees do something. I'm not a scientist like that. Do do stuff to the plants that then makes the plants available for something else. It's like there's a whole ecosystem that bees are central to. Anyway, the point about the article is that a large number, a meaningful number of our insects are basically dropping off, and it's a big deal. It's not something that we. Thank you, Alita. She says pollinate. Yes. I wanted I wanted to be scientific. I couldn't. Apparently that was too much. So anyway, the bees have their pollination that they do, but they're an essential part of our food system. So the fact that millions of them are dying off is a major thing. So that's what the article was about. But in the article, one of the things they said that I thought was amazing was that at the turn of the 20th century, so coming from the 1900s from the 1800s to the 1900s, cattle was introduced to Australia, and the cows would poop, but the poop wouldn't break down, and it became a very expensive problem for the country because you had all of this poop that wouldn't decompose, and the cows didn't want to eat where they had pooped, right? Who wants to do that? And so the cattle ranchers needed more and more land. So it was becoming prohibitive to basically take care of the animals, because you would essentially run out of land because they're going to poop. And so they don't want to eat where they poop. So it was this huge problem that they couldn't solve. And so they had scientists working on it, where they were trying all kind of chemical things to like get rid of the poop. And I mean, it tried many different things. And it wasn't until 1951 that a visiting entomologist realized what was happening, which was that they didn't have the dung beetle. And the dung beetle, the insects that were there couldn't digest the poop. And so they had to import the dung beetle. Now, you don't think they had beetles in Australia before then? But they didn't have the one beetle that could digest the cow poop. And it just really, really drove home for me how intentional God is. God is highly, highly, highly intentional. And it whenever I think, oh, I'm just here randomly, or if that ever occurs to me, I always remember that, wait a minute, it's 400 different thousand types of beetles, but only this one could do what was needed. And so even though there are billions of humans on the planet, and each of us, there are other teachers, but they don't do what I do, and I don't do what they do, even though we might be teaching some of the same things. So it's just to realize that everything that the Creator does has a purpose. And so if you're here, you have a purpose, because the Creator doesn't operate without a purpose. The other thing is that the everything comes with packed, fully equipped. So the dung beetle came with the equipment needed to handle the cow poop. Just very basically, it came equipped to do it. And then everything that a thing is supposed to do, it comes able to do. Birds fly because, say it like this, God put the fly in the bird. Have you ever seen a bird that couldn't fly? It doesn't live very long. It means it's probably dying. Fish swim. They don't go to school. They swim in schools, but they don't go to school to swim. So whatever God gave you to do, He put it in you, and it's not something that you have to learn how to do. because the creator is consistent in the creation process. Now, getting good at what you're meant to do, right? Where you start to refine. So maybe your thing is gymnastics and you begin to refine that thing that you do, that you don't really have to be, you have a kind of have a sixth sense about it. But that's different from having to be taught to do it. So you can refine your ability, or you can refine your gift, but refinement is not the same thing as being taught. There is an ease that I have with teaching. Even before I was teaching, just naturally. Even in the entertainment industry, while I was calling myself a producer, I was constantly putting on workshops trying to teach people how to do how to teach. Like whatever it is that you do, it's the thing that you're always doing. It's where it's showing up in you all the time. Oh, thank you, Villa. She said, I was thinking the same thing today. She said that I chose you to learn from rather than another teacher. Yes. My Reverend Jean Dade Batchy in Miami said this at a retreat. I've heard it before, but it landed this time. And she said that you are assigned to me. And people can be assigned to you for a day. They can be assigned to you for a year. They can be assigned to you for a lifetime, meaning that you're moving through life together. And whenever somebody leaves you for whatever reason, whether it's through transition or through whatever, it is that assignment to you is over. The assignment that they were meant to fulfill in your experience for that amount of time is finished. So anyway, I loved that. I thought that was such a beautiful way to think about it. So I want to talk about expressions that fail the God test, right? Because that's really, when I looked at how God does anything, and I realized that how God does anything is how God does everything. And I said, okay, God, you're lavishly abundant. Everything you do a lot of it. right? Like a lot of beetles, a lot of trees, a lot of butterflies, not just one different type. There's 500 different types of sharks. How many sharks do you need? Anyway, and then I realized, okay, God, everything you do with a purpose, and everything you put here, you put equipped to do what it is supposed to do. And so then I started saying, okay, Sherri, what's going on with you? Like, how is it that your life is not living up to the God that you worship? So what's going on? What's happening in you? And I don't know if you've ever felt like this, but I had gotten to this place where I was just deeply frustrated. And I told Sherri one night, we were talking on the phone, I said, I don't, because these things, I was putting stuff out, I was working, and I was doing the things that felt true, but nothing was working. Like it was just not working. And I told her, I said, I don't know if I am keeping faith, like practicing my faith, or if I'm just being delusional, because like right now, where I sit right now with how jacked up everything is, I can't tell the difference. And I don't know if you've ever felt like that, but it's this place where it just felt like it was just like dreaming was foolish. It felt like the thing that I was reaching for was so far away that it was ridiculous for me to even reach for it. And I don't know if that has ever felt like that to you, but that's the place that I was in a few years ago. And I think that the only reason that I didn't give up is because I would keep getting revelations. Like I would get one more profound revelation that I could share on a Sunday, that I could teach in a class, and it was just like, okay, I can't get these revelations and they not be true. Like I'm lock me up in the funny ward for that, right? Like, and so I just, I was like, okay, well, I'll just keep trying. I'll keep trying. And the scripture says, all who ask receive. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm asking the best way I know how. If I need to ask differently, you need to tell me differently. Okay, that was the biggest thing. And the story that he pointed me to was a story of Elisha with the widow and the oil. And this is a story that you've heard before. This is in 2 Kings chapter 4. And what is happening is that the widow, her husband was a member of the company of prophets that Elisha managed. He's died, and she now has 2 sons to care for. She has fallen on hard times, and the creditors are essentially coming to basically take her sons. And so she is rightfully freaking out. And she goes to Elisha, and she's, complaining. She's like, I'm a good woman, basically. I'm not out here doing craziness. And like, I can't meet my needs. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do for you? And then I guess maybe he has some compassion, and he says, well, tell me, what do you have in your house? And that's the first question that he asks her. And so she says, I don't have anything. And then it's like, as an afterthought, she's like, oh, but I've got this jar of oil. And like the widow, the very thing that would save her, but can't, is the thing that she already possesses. And the reason that it can't do anything for her is because of how she's thinking about it. So the thing that will pull you out of where you are is already in you. You already have it. It could be tangible. It might be intangible. The thing that will pull you out of where you are, whether you're in a depression, whether you are in a job that you don't want to be in, whether you are living in a space that you don't want to live in anymore, whether you are just in that, what I call that nightmare cycle where, you're reaching for your dream, but you can't get anything going and you just keep falling back. No matter where you are, you already possess. It's not coming from it. It doesn't exist outside of you. It's already with you, whether it's something physical in your house right now, or whether it's something intangible in your spirit right now. The thing that is going to save you is already present, but it's how you're looking at it. And the thing is that nothing can go beyond how you look at it. The jar of oil can't do what the jar of oil can do because of how the widow is looking at and considering the jar of oil. Tell me if this is landing, y'all. Let me know. Okay. Nisa said, teach me tonight. So you who left and what left is never tied to your salvation. And I don't mean your salvation like get you into heaven, but I mean your salvation out of where you are. So for me, I was in a depression. I remember holidays when I just didn't want to get out of bed. Christmas would come around. It's not like I didn't have family and friends around. Family and friends were around, but it was just this reminder that my life didn't look the way that I wanted it to look. And I would just stay in bed. And I think like one Christmas I was supposed to go to movies with my friend Angela, and I think the movie was in the evening. And I basically stayed in the bed up until like the last minute. I didn't want to put up a Christmas tree because it was like this reminder that I was only putting up a tree for me. And it was all just, so no, wherever you are, the thing that's going to pull you out of where you are is already present inside of you. It's already there. It's already there. So, but what has to change is how you look at it. You have to have a different point of view on your gift, whatever that is. So for me, I'm using this because you guys know me, that for me, mine was teaching. But in order for teaching to be what it can be, I have to look at it differently. That's what this next iteration, you guys are going to start hearing about the class that I'm offering. That's what this next iteration is about. It's about me looking at my gift differently. And it's scary because it's like, who am I to think that I could teach the world, right? Seriously, like I believe that, right? But the jar of oil can't do what the jar of oil can do until you look at the jar of oil differently. The teaching that I have the gift for can't do what the teaching can do until I look at the gift differently. Phyllis says she was not seeing it as her seed to bring forth her harvest. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So the jar of oil, what the jar of oil represents metaphysically is it represents the seed of God inside of you. And to be clear, I'm being redundant on purpose, that the seed could be physical. So it could be a jar of oil, it could be something physical in your house, but it could also be a gift in your spirit. You may be a great artist, or you may be a great writer, or a great speaker, or a great teacher, or right, maybe some kind of creation like that. That's an intangible thing. And what you have got to do is to look at it differently. You've got to see it differently. Okay. So the oil is, she had to learn how to work with it. So the main thing is to get that we're no different from the widow, that each one of us has our a jar of oil. And when we learn to work with it the right way, it will do for us, it will turn us into our own economy. Hear that? Because I want this to stick. The seed of God in you, what God packed you up with, like he put the swim in the fish, he put the teach in me, he put whatever he put in you. The thing that God packed you up with, that when you learn to look at it the right way, when you learn to work with it the right way, it will turn you into your own economy. Case in point, Chaz Dean. Chaz Dean is one of our members from Up Church. Chaz Dean sat in the pews right, I won't say right next to me, but maybe a couple rows over. And Chaz had a passion for taking care of the hair of his client. In fact, my hair is cut. This is a Chaz Dean. He gave me a big chop. That's a whole other conversation. But anyway, so he had a passion though, because he was a colorist. If you talk to him, he'll tell you that first and foremost, he's a colorist. What he noticed was that he worked in these high-end Tony salons, and the women would come in and they would spend hundreds of dollars getting their hair colored. And then he would see it run down the drain with the shampoo and stuff that he was putting in the hair. And so he had this passion for, how do I protect this basically, several $100 investment that they have made in their hair? Like, what can I do about this? So that's kind of how it started. And so he was trying and mixing different things to create a shampoo experience that didn't strip the hair of the color that he had just laid in the hair. That's how it got started. So in that, and in nurturing that, he realizes, wait a minute, shampoo is the issue. What we need a way for conditioner to cleanse. And he ends up creating this line of cleansing conditioners. Now this product line does billions of dollars a year. And I went every year. He does 2 parties, one at Christmas and one right at the end of summer. And this past Christmas party I went to, I got a chance to meet this Black guy whose family owns a window washing company. And they wash the windows or clean all of the, Chaz had these amazing picture windows, like massive picture windows. And they clean their family business cleans the picture windows. But because of the business that they do with Chaz and what it means for them to be a vendor for him, there are all these other contracts and accounts that they're able to get. But then the other thing is that Chaz has been, expanding his real estate empire. And so every time he gets a new building or a new house, they get the contract to clean those windows. The seed of God inside of you, when you learn to look at it the right way, will turn you into your own economy. It will not just take care of you. It will take care of you. It will take care of your family, and it will take care of hundreds, maybe thousands of other people besides you. Nisa said, I saw his infomercials. Yes, that is. And he still does them with QVC. And he's the #1 beauty brand on QVC. #1 beauty brand on QVC. So this is and he'll tell you his story. You can research it on YouTube. He has a video where he talks about how he would sit in meditation and listen for what to do next, and how he would communicate with God to just understand, okay, what's the next step that I need to take? Very, very powerful story. I highly, highly recommend that you research his story. But I want you to get more than anything else is that what Chaz has in him, you have in you. That because how God does anything is how God does everything. And the seed in you, looked at rightly and worked with correctly, will turn you into your own economy. Now, this next point is nuance, because I want this to stick. In fact, I ran into this earlier today with my mastermind group. So growing up, I grew up Southern Baptist, Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church in Houston, Texas, on Homestead and Tidwell. And I learned, whether it was implicit or explicit, it was in the culture that, part of changing is so that you can basically score blessings from God in some way. Either you're going to score blessings or you're going to score a spot in heaven, but you're going to score something. So everything you're doing is working toward this like future, better environment, whether that's after you die or better on earth, right? So then I come into New Thought. New Thought is like, you ain't no sinner. You ain't no worm of the dust. You are perfect as you are, right? And so, I learned to affirm, I am perfect as I am. I am whole, perfect, and complete. Let me know in the comments if that is true and you heard that too when you came into New Thought. I am perfect. I am whole. You ain't got to change nothing, right? So this next point, I really want this to land. You absolutely are perfect. You are absolutely perfect. You are exactly who you need to be to keep manifesting what you're manifesting right now. Constance says, word. Nisi said, I struggle with that. Yes. All right. Okay, good. Because y'all heard. You are exactly who you need to be for your life not to change, to look exactly the way that it looks, because consciousness always demonstrates itself. Consciousness always demonstrates itself. Aaliyah says, right. Reverend Johnny told me that. Right. So the truth is that you absolutely are perfect, and really is nothing that needs to change about you. If what you're manifesting right now is what you want, if your money feels true, if your relationship feels true, if the work you're doing feels true, if the people around you feel true, hey, congratulations, you're in heaven. That's really it. There's nothing needs to change, right? And I want to talk about what true feels like. Well, Jordan, you got to be quiet, babe. So I want to talk about but I got a couple comments. Constance says, I get it. Just said tonight in class, there are no imperfections created by God. Absolutely. Ray says, I heard it, but it took a minute to believe. And Nisi says, perfect, whole, complete from New Thought, keeps battling with my Pentecostal background. Hopefully tonight will help you. That's my plan. Okay. Right. Phyllis says, what God created, he said it was good. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't mean to suggest that you are not perfect, whole, complete. I want to talk about what true feels like. And I'll give you this experience. So this was 2006. And I had gone home for Thanksgiving. The Secret had just come out. And I decided I'm going to teach my family how to do vision boards. And so we sit down at the dining table, and it's an intergenerational experience. It's my mom, it's her mom, it's my sister, it's my sister's children, it's me. And I'm walking through and explaining like how to do the vision boards. They talked, and I've got the Secret playing in the background. And it was such a amazing, euphoric experience. I mean, nothing like it. And at that point, I don't even know if I consciously knew what my grandmother's dreams were. So I was experiencing her as she was putting on her board, what it was that she wanted. And just to even realize that my grandmother had dreams, like even that was mind blowing. I was worried about what her Baptist background was going to do with the Secret. That's where my mind was. And she didn't even pay attention to that. She was busy putting pictures on the board. And then my mom was putting her pictures on the board and things that she wanted to accomplish. And then the baby who was probably 4 or 5, Brian at the time, was putting pictures on the board. And I mean, it was just, it was euphoric. There was nothing like it. No, there's nothing, just amazing. So I remember feeling this sense of complete peace. And in that moment that all of this is happening, I don't want anything. I don't need any more money than I have in that moment. I don't need any more health than I have in that moment. I don't need any greater relationship. Like everything felt true. And so when I talk about it, and when we talk about a New Thought, that true place. It's that place where hunger falls away, because you are walking in, living in, operating in your absolute truth. You are giving in a way that has impact and in a way that feeds your soul. And whether the people, I mean, who knows what my grandmother and my mom and everybody took away from that. I don't even know if they made another vision board after that. I don't think they did another vision board after that date. But just the experience of doing that with them was such a satisfying experience. And what I have come to understand is that those moments don't have to be fleeting moments. Those moments can be a lifestyle where you are walking in your purpose, operating in your purpose, giving according to your gifts and talents, and making life better for other people. And so that's what I mean when I say true. So when you are, if you are not living that kind of experience for your gifts, your talents, and your abilities and all of that, then you're not changing because there's something wrong with you. You're changing because there's something greater in you that needs to express. And the scripture says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that the gift and the seed of God inside of you can only express to the degree that it can express because of the current state of your consciousness, or because of the current mental equivalent that you're rolling with. So this is what I'm saying. This part is nuance. I want you to get that I'm not backing off of you're perfect, whole, and complete. You're absolutely perfect, whole, and complete. You've got to answer the question is, do I have all that I want to have? Am I living in my true place right now? Am I experiencing my true money right now? Am I enjoying my true relationships right now? Only you can answer that question. And so you don't change because there's something wrong with you. You change because there's a greater expression of God that wants to come through you. And that expression requires a transformed vehicle. That expression requires a mind that can think bigger. So Serena Williams has the ability to dominate the game of tennis, but she keeps having to change her mind in order to become that person who captures and holds on to the record of the most grand slams in the Open era. Right? There's a shift. It's not whether or not she can do it, right? That's we all know she can. The question is, can she shift her own mind to allow in a different expression? And the moment that you shift your mind, you change your experience. The moment you shift your mind, you change it. No matter what direction you shift it in, your experience changes accordingly. And so this is not a step back from your perfect, whole, and complete. But it is to say that if you're not completely at peace with where you are, and you know that you are not in your true place in whatever way, then there's some shifting that needs to happen in the way that you think. And the question is, are you an open mind for the ideas of God? Are you an open mind for the ideas of God? I'm going to try to find this picture. I've realized I can share this. I'm going to try to find it while I'm talking to you guys. So a few years ago, yep, I got it. A few years ago, maybe I'll do this one. I had this idea. So I've been working on these classes for a while. This is not a new thing. And one the first one I did was on Jumpstart Your Life Purpose. The second one I did was on core work, was about strengthening your emotional core. Then the next one I did was on the Bible and your spoken word. And then the next one I was going to do, I really wanted to focus on prosperity. I'd done all of this work to study prosperity, to really just, to just nail the subject. And I came up with this idea. Oh, that's small. I came up with this idea to do a class called Prosper. Is that better? Trust it. These are so tiny. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So I came up with this idea to do a class called Prosper. Where's the share my screen? Constance says, I get it. I don't change because there's something wrong with me. I change because more of God wants to be pressed out. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, I'm looking for him. Oh, here we go. Here's the share button. Okay, so this is what I was working on. I'm assuming that you guys can see that well. I'm guessing. Anyway, it's a little blurry, but that's just because I had to blow it up. Anyway, so I was laying the groundwork. I was gonna like put, Prosper out, and it was, claim your inheritance. Register now. Like I was ready. This was gonna be the biggest class ever. I was like, yeah, come on. You got some experience. You made some mistakes with these other classes, but now you about to get it right. Jar of oil. So life is happening. This is around 2015 to early 2015. And so early 2015, what's happening in my life is that Reverend Della retires, and unexpectedly retires. Like we knew she was going to retire, but nobody had a date. You didn't know when it was going to happen. As I had been working on this around this time, 2015, and so I'm getting it together, and then also Jordan comes to live with me February 2015. So like inside of like 2 weeks, like my life went like this, upside down. So that's the course that I'm working on. So, life happens, life is going on. And I'm like, okay, well, and then I just kind of put the jar of oil in the corner like the widow. And I am a little bit, whatever. I'll come back to it. And I'm going to show y'all this. I have to find it. Hold on. Let me see if I can get a good one. And I'm excited about the course, but I know I'm going to come back to it. Because, life happens. I don't know. This may not have happened to y'all, but this happened to me. Life happens. And I come back ready to knock it out. Like, okay, no, not even to knock it out. That's not even it. It's sitting in the jar of oil is sitting in the corner, right? It's in the corner. Okay, I got to mute somebody. All right. Malayla, you got to watch your sound. Your sound is interfering. Okay. Anyway, and I got to tell you, I love this guy. So I don't want you to, don't nobody go, say anything crazy. I love this guy. I think he's phenomenal. So life is happening. Life is just doing what it's doing. And I am, whatever, like this is what's happening. And where'd it go? Right here. And one day I look up and this dude releases a course called Prosper. Create impact and income by sharing your unique gifts. Deep down, you already know you have a unique gift that people need. Trouble is, you're completely overwhelmed, doubting yourself, and beginning to wonder whether anyone really wants or even needs what you have. Prosper is a live 8-week program for ambitious, heart-centered entrepreneurs like you. Anyway, my point is that we all have the jar of oil that we have put on the shelf. And what you don't want to have happen is to find out that somebody else picked up their jar of oil and it kind of sort of looks like your jar of oil. That's a gut punch. Like, one, he's trademarked it. I can't go behind that. He's trademarked it. That's gone. It's an online course. That's gone. There's no, that's over. So, I ain't gonna tell you the depression I went through about that. But there's a funny story of Michael Jackson's longtime collaborator says she's talking to Oprah, and he's telling the story of Michael Jackson calling him at all hours of the morning with ideas. And he's like, Michael, it's 4 a.m. And Michael's like, yeah, but if we don't write it down, God might give it to Prince. And so what I want to tell you is that you do not want your jar of oil to be given to somebody else. So Listen, what's yours to do is yours to do. So let me say that it was his to do. Absolutely, it was his to do. But it was a very visceral lesson in recognizing that you have got to move forward on the gifts and talents that God put inside of you. And there will never be an ideal time. There will never be a perfect. This now is not a perfect time. I just have better training, and I'm, that's it. So, your mental equivalent is always being demonstrated, and how you see the jar of oil that God has given you, it can never go beyond how you see it. And so because I took my online course, which was a 7-week course called Prosper, and put it on the shelf, someone else took their jar of oil and utilized it. Now, the good news is I'm a student. I've learned, and now I've got my course coming out. And so we're good. But my point is that you have got to act like your jar of oil means something. You've got to act like it means something. So whatever it is that you do, whether you're an artist or a writer or a musician or whatever it is that you have, if it's service. I love Steve Harvey highlights this guy that he grew up with who cut grass. And this guy had a talent for cutting your name into the grass. And he made a little bit of money, but he kept getting better at it, and today he has all of the contracts, or a large number of the contracts, for cutting grass for major corporations and businesses in the city of Cleveland, Ohio, or Dayton, Ohio, one of them. I think it's Cleveland, Ohio. So it's realizing that your gift means something. The Marie Callender was a waitress in a restaurant, and the restaurant was struggling. And she said, let me make some pies and let's see if we could sell them. And she made some pies, and they came, and it sold out. And then she made some more pies, and then it sold out. And pretty soon people were coming to the struggling restaurant because they wanted her pies. So it's just to realize that the seed of God inside of you will turn you into your own economy. But you've got to see it as something special. You've got to see it as something worth nurturing and developing. So what happens with the widow is that she goes to Elisha, and Elisha tells her what to do with the oil. In this story, metaphysically, Elisha represents I am. It symbolizes the I am power in all of us. And I am will teach you how to work with the seed of God inside of you. So she goes to Elisha and says, I need help. I don't know what to do with this. I don't even know if I have a seed. How about that? She didn't go saying, tell me what to do with the oil. She went saying, help me, give me a handout. Right? So you may be going to I am and don't even know what the jar of oil is. That's okay. I am will tell you what the jar of oil is. And then once I am identifies your jar of oil, then I am is going to tell you exactly what to do with the oil. Exactly what to do with the oil. And so the main thing that you have got to do is you've got to show up every day. This is a daily practice. This is a daily practice. This is a daily practice. If you can hear me, say daily. This is a daily practice. Do not miss a day. Because, well, not even get into because. Just don't miss a day. Thank you, Joe. Joe says daily. Yes. Yes, Phyllis says it's calling out. Thank you, Phyllis. Daily. Phyllis says it's calling out for expansion. We have to stop suppressing it. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Oh, that's funny. Jennifer said she just got a banana cream pie from Marie Callender's. Yes, 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 yes. So this is your soul work for this week, but it's really your soul work for the rest of your life. What I want you to do is I want you to write down your goals. I want you to get very, very specific with what it is that you want. Now, sometimes you feel like, I don't know what I want. Actually, yes, you do. It's kind of like when you sit down at a restaurant, you say, I don't know what I'm feeling. Well, they can't bring you no food until you say. And eventually you say, well, bring me the soup, bring me the chili, right? But eventually you got to identify something in order for something to come out of the kitchen. So what I have found is that when people don't know what it is that they want, it's because they just haven't taken the time to sit still and listen. And so you may have to spend a week or a month just writing down what it is that you want. Don't think that this is going to be like a quick bang it out in one session type of thing, right? That what you want to do is you want to take your time with it. What is it that you want? What is it that you want? Write it down. Then, I don't have this handy. Otherwise, I would show it to you. So then the next thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that it is as specific as possible. It is as specific as possible. So and then it's affirmative. So it is not just that I want to lose weight. I will release 30 pounds back to the universe to utilize however it chooses, right? It is clear, right? There's no ambiguity. I don't want just some money, because if I give you 21 cents, you have more money than you had before. I would like to earn $100,000 this year, right? So you got to be very, very clear. What is it that you are asking for? And you want to write it down, and you want to write it in the affirmative. I will release 30 pounds. I will make $100,000. Whatever it is that you are, it says you're writing it as an affirmative sentence. And the question you want to ask is, how people get to the end of the year and they'll say, 2018 doesn't owe me anything, or somebody goes to Vegas and they squeeze all the fun out of Vegas. They say, Vegas don't owe me anything, right? Like that I took everything, right? That I just, like, I had such a good time. If there was more fun to be had in Vegas, that's impossible, because I had all the fun that there is, right? So the question is, what would need to happen in 2019 such that when December 31st gets here, you can say with confidence, 2019 doesn't owe me anything. I took everything out of 2019 that there was to get for me. What is that answer to that question? Ray says, with that being said, what is the difference between being specific and outlining? Outlining is being rigid in it has to happen this way. What I have found is that when we write down goals, we start trying to identify the how. And so being specific is saying, I want this. I want a house with 3 bedrooms. I want to live in this neighborhood. You may have a particular street that you want to live on. I want to be on this street. I love the way this street looks. Or this or something better. So you always leave, right. He said, or it has to come through a certain channel, or it has to come through a certain channel. Right, exactly. And the thing is that you don't know how it's going to bless you. You have no idea how your good is going to come to you. Driving to go pick up Jordan, I had no idea someone was going to hand me back $200 and say, hey, you're good on this air conditioner, this heater repair. I had made peace with, I got to pay this $425. Whew. So you don't know how it's going to come back, but it's a commitment to, this is what I want. This is what I'm asking for. Now, be bold. The God I worship made 400,000 different types of beetles. He don't do nothing small. Who am I to think small? I mean, when he was making sharks, he decided 500 was a good number. Here's the thing, whenever they identify species, they always have to say known species, because they're always discovering new species. So 400 different types of known species of beetles. That's my God. So I'm not asking small. I'm not asking small on any level. Jennifer says, is it like we can't give God directions, only our intention? No, you need to be specific. Isaiah 45:11 or 46:11 says, concerning the works of my hands, you command me. So you need to be specific. We think we've been waiting on God. Really, God's been waiting on us. This universe. So, okay, Reverend Edwin Gaines helped me with this, and this was such a tremendous blessing. So your good has no shape. You give your good shape. So tithing, we taught this early in the year, but tithing puts you in relationship with God. Writing your goals completes that relationship. Your goals are essentially the containers to receive your good. Your good, there's so much stuff that we have in spiritual escrow because we won't set a goal. We're so afraid of goal setting. We think that goal setting is mysterious. We haven't been taught how to set goals. That's the first thing. We haven't been taught how to set goals. And so we are, we don't want to. And I know I was that person. I didn't want to set a goal. I had so many goals that hadn't happened that, I didn't want to set another goal. And then I learned how to set goals. I learned why the goals that I had didn't work out. And just, because this is one of the things I'm going to be covering in the new class that I'm offering, called Kick Butt Now, because we're about to kick some butt, is that you shouldn't be setting a goal that you don't have a habit system to support. You shouldn't be setting a goal that you don't have a habit system to support. And so goals that don't get met don't have habits to take you there. And so one of the things that we will be talking about in that class, and I'm going to be teaching you how to do, is how to attach the right habit system to get you where you're trying to go. Getting to your goals is not a mystery. It is not a mystery. It is not mysterious. And it is not hoodoo voodoo magic. There is a very specific Bible-based approach to establishing habits that get you where you want to go, getting you to your goals. But I'm getting off track. I want to keep going. So Jennifer, no, you want to be very specific. The universe, Reverend Galen says it this way. He says, you got to be definite with the infinite. You've got to be definite with the infinite. This universe doesn't move until there's a specificity about where it is that you want to go and what it is that you want to do. Houses don't get built on vague blueprints. Houses built on vague blueprints fall. and they have to consider every aspect of, wind and the weather in the area, that, a house in California can't be a house back east. Because where was I? I was talking to one of my mastermind partners today, and there is 1 degree in Colorado, 1 degree, 1 entire degree. You can't put this California house out in Colorado. It'll fall apart. So that you have to be specific. What you don't want to be is rigid, where it's like, it has to happen this way. It has to happen this way. And you're like tense. That's not how it works. One of the things we're going to talk about in next week's lesson is that you got to relax. And so we'll talk about, methods for relaxing so that you can basically allow, because that's what's happening. You're allowing it to happen. But it's a 1 foot in front of the other allowing process. That'll become clearer next week. So write down what you want. Now, this is the key. This is the magic piece right here. If you don't do nothing else, do this. Every morning, you can do it any time of day. I prefer the morning. I recommend the morning. Make yourself a big cup of coffee or tea or smoothie or whatever. Doesn't really matter. The liquid doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. It doesn't even matter if you have liquid. The point is that it kind of functions as like your timer. Okay. And the main thing is that you can't chug it down. Then what I want you to do is I want you to just sit down with your written goals, and I want you to read them. I want you to read them slowly. And I want you to run your finger across the page slowly. And then I want you to sit and just take 6 deep breaths. And as you calm down, I want you to imagine what it will be like when the words on that page are no longer just words on that page, but it's your living reality. So you write them down, and then you read them slowly, and then you stop and you breathe and you slow yourself down, and you just imagine. So let's say yours is you want to release 30 pounds. And so you just sit and you start to think about what it'll be like. And as much as you can see it, as much as you can taste it, feel it, sensory, vivid detail, experience what it'll be like when those 30 pounds are released, the freedom that you'll feel in your body. And then you go to the next goal. Same thing. When you finish your cup of coffee or your tea or your smoothie, or no liquid at all, could be a big cup of water. The liquid is immaterial. The main thing is you're just kind of functioning like a little timer for you. Then you get up, put your cup away, go on about your day. And you do the same thing the next day, every day for the rest of your life. So I started doing this. And this is my experience with this. So I sit down, I'm reading the goals, and I had just learned about this, like, I don't know, a month ago. And I had been looking for a way to visualize. So when I heard it, I was like, oh, this is a good way for me to visualize. So I've been doing it for like a week, because I knew visualization was something that I needed, and I knew it was something that would take my life to the next level, but I could never stick with it. And my mind would wander. But when I was introduced to this system of visualization, I was like, oh, I could do that. So I go to work, make my cup of coffee, and I sit down and I read my goals, and I sit and I breathe, and I imagine myself, and I see myself walking and living the kind of life that I've identified on my goals. And so one of the things I'm working on is that I'm working on my course. My course is called Kick Butt Now. And so it costs to put the course together. I've got software to buy. I've got graphics to pay for. I've got just stuff, So, but I'm doing this every morning. So it is, during the first 12 weeks of 2019, I will release Kick Butt Now, blah, blah, blah. That's my goal, right? And I'm imagining that. I'm seeing myself going through the process of talking about it and introducing it to people, whatever. So it happened. There was a Sunday evening. I was hanging out with a friend of mine who's a business person here in Los Angeles. And we're just talking, chit-chatting, whatever. And, the person says, hey, what are you working on? I was like, oh, I'm getting ready to release my next course. I said, this is a big deal for me because I haven't really taught any private courses for a while. I'm so excited, whatever. And so I'm just talking about it. And I was like, what I really would love, I wanted to get a digital marketer to help me, expand my reach. And but that didn't quite work out. And so I said, and he said, well, how much is a digital marketer? I was like, look, you know what? That's the next timer. I'm not even worried about that. And so I'm on to the next point. And he said, well, how much is it going to cost to put on the course? And I said, it's probably going to cost me maybe like $2,000 to pay for everything that I need to pay for. And so now I'm moving on to the next point. And he says, well, what if I loan you the $2,000 and you just Jordan, and you just pay me back, when you everything with the course. And I said, what? you want to do what? And he said, yeah, I'll loan it to you, and you just no interest, and you pay me back when the course is finished. Okay. And so he was like, yeah, so listen, I want to pay for everything direct. I'll set you up with my assistant. She'll get you set up with one of my credit cards, and you just pay for everything with my card. Okay. So then I get to work, and I'm on like cloud nine, like, hey, all right, this is good. I can't wait to sit down and read my goals today. And so I, reach out to him a little bit later. I was like, hey, how do I get in touch with your assistant? He was like, listen, change of plans. I'm just going to wire the money directly to your account. What? Okay. All right. So the next day when I'm sitting, getting ready to, firing up the microwave to put my, my coffee together, I'm like, all right, what's coming today? What's coming today? And so one of the things that I have been struggling with is that I was like, how am I going to get the word out, about this class? Because, I'm not a marketer. That's not what I know how to do. I know how to teach. And so, but I'm visualizing, going through it, and I'm on my way to work on a Wednesday. And I get a phone call from Galen that says, Sherri, listen, I need you to be a call-in guest on the show. I was like, oh, sure, I can do that. How long do you need me? He's like, well, I need as long as you can give me. I was like, I can give you the hour. I said, so, what do you want to talk about? He said, we could talk about whatever you want to talk about. What? So now when I'm in front of the microwave, I'm like, hey, come on, God. Like, what we got going on now, right? So the podcast happens, And I'm still every day reading my goals, going through. And the podcast happens, and then two blessings come out of that. There's a couple that ends up coming to Up Church because they hear the interview on the podcast. But then that night I get home, and I'm very bad about Facebook Messenger. Sorry, Jennifer. I'm very bad about Facebook Messengers. I try to answer quickly, but I'm always like late, like, oh, let me check Facebook Messenger. And there's a message in there from Renaissance Unity saying, hey, we think you're great. We want to fly you out to Detroit to speak at Renaissance Unity. What? So now, like every morning, I'm in the microwave like this, like, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. So then I get on the phone with Renaissance Unity, and so I'm just talking through, you know, all right, let's figure out what you want to do. And he was like, listen, you tell us what it is that you need, and here's how this works. Whatever you tell us, the answer is yes. What? Okay. So every morning I'm in the front of the microwave, like just let's get this going. Yeah. Milena says your fifth symphony. Yes. And there have been other things like that. Today it was the 2 checks being handed back to me from the air conditioner repairman. It is a miraculous way of living, because what's happening is that you are meeting God daily about the seed of God inside of you. So your conversation with God is very specific, because what you're doing is you're imagining what it is that you want coming to be. And you're sitting there, and when I tell you, I do this every day. The liquid changes. Sometimes it's water. Sometimes it's an energy drink. Sometimes it's coffee. Sometimes it's tea. That's just me. I like it. It functions like my timer. But honestly, you don't need the liquid. You just need the practice. Then what I do is I have a tracker on my phone, and I've shared with you guys before about the tracker, but I track myself. Did you review your goals today? Because I don't want to forget. And there is this momentum that you pick up. What builds the mental equivalent are your habits. Your habits are the embodiment of the mental equivalent. And what you have to have are the habits that take you where you want to go. And this it's not a long time. It takes me, 10 minutes to do the process. This short daily meeting with God, I just do it, and do it every day. Get clear on what you want. And then here's the other thing that happens. So I had a list of goals that were like my goals from the top of the year. And then I realized as I was doing this every day that there were some things that I had on the list that weren't that important to me. And so I actually ended up pulling those things off of the list. So your daily meeting with I am will help you refine what it is that you're asking I am to manifest. It's a fluid process. And then even just refining how the goal is framed. It is absolutely amazing. The word, what I wrote on January 1st, sorry, y'all, he's watching, he's got headphones on. I would throw something at him, but then that wouldn't be good. Jordan.
What?
Shh. This process of working with I am will guide you from where you stand right now to where you want to be. I am will walk you through those steps, but you have got to show up daily, because the process is incremental. If you go to I am once a week, that's just not enough, not to make any kind of progress. And every day you get like a little piece. It's like a little small piece, that you get. And it might be small. It might be somebody saying, hey, Sherri, the heater repair was $425. Just give me $200 and we're good. On another day, for me, it was, I needed somebody to help me with the videos that I'm going to use to promote my course. And I was scrambling because the team that I was going to work with is out of town. It's supposed to be happening right now. And so I had to find a new editor. And my friend says, hey, look, I'll do this for you as a favor. And I don't know if you guys know about editing, but editing is a very time consuming process. So this is somebody giving me thousands of dollars of service as a gift. So again, every day you get the next piece every day. But anyway, the thing is that what makes it hard is the everyday part. That's actually what makes it hard. Because in the excitement you get started, it's easy. But I'm telling you, there's going to be a day when you get up and you just don't feel like it. And I had that day this week where I got out of bed and I was just in a crunchy mood. I was crunchy. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to get on I just didn't. I was done with the routine and I needed just a break. Those are the days when you have to do it no matter what. It's like you've got to have a no matter what, and I do this whether I feel like it or not. And there's a momentum that gets built with working with God. And it's it's like I said, God will teach you how to work with the jar of oil. All you got to do is go to God every day and talk about the jar of oil. Thank you so much for tonight. Hope this was good. And I hope you got something very specific that you can use. And I pray that all of you do this technique. I really, really do, because this is our year. This is our year. We've been studying together since 2013. This is our year. We've done the work. Blessings are due, and we've all been blessed along the way. But I'm talking about breakout stuff now. It's time for breakout stuff. So let's go get it. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Joe said, this is it. Oh, Constance, how much is that lint kit? I think it's like $50, Constance, but I got to check. We normally try to keep it in the $50 price range. So we are doing, thank you. I'll bring this up. Where's my book? We're doing Key to Yourself. Oh, I can't find the book. Okay. Oh, it's right here. So this is our lint text. Can you see that? Key to Yourself, Venice Bloodworth. We are actually in the process. We are getting bracelets made. So all the kits. So the kits will be available not this Sunday, but they'll be available. Sunday is February. Can you give me 10th? They'll be available February 17th, and then we're gonna do a big kickoff service on March 3rd. Got some fun stuff available, but February 17th, Constance, is when they go on sale. And we had a big kickoff service, and then Lent starts March 6th. Now, those of you that have never experienced Lent with us, we do Lent big. Lent is a transformational experience for us. We do a daily telecall from 7 a.m. to 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. And this is how the call goes. You start, thank Constance says it's excellent. You start the call and it's like, God, I got to do this every day. And then somewhere around day 10, you're like, oh crap, I only have 30 days left. Like there's something about stirring up the gift of God every morning collectively. Game changer. So that by the time we get to Easter, we all coming off the cross. I mean, it's amazing. Nisi says it's worth it, guys. It is unbelievable. So Key to Yourself is our text this year. And so we're getting all we got a bracelet, we got a bookmark, we got a journal, so we're getting all the kit stuff together. And the kits are like $50. We try to keep it in the $50 range so that it's affordable for everybody. All right. Phyllis says, I just bought mine. Yay. Who says God? We have to do this every day. Yes. Thank you so much. I will see you guys next week. Look out for the videos. I'm going to start putting out the videos for Kick Butt now. Registration opens probably Friday. I got the time I got to get right. But and I hope that you will join me for the class. Thank you. CEUs. Yes, you will be able to earn CEUs for that and for this. Those of you that are interested in earning continuing education units for your teacher's license, you can earn it for this class. And so we just have to work out the FaceTime piece of it, and I'll give that to you guys. Okay. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. Have a good night.